Okay, the important part of this starts from the test on Friday. We're starting at DNA structure for one reason, because I'm just going to ask you basic things about DNA so we understand this. That your genetic material is DNA. Little segments of DNA that code for a specific trait are called a gene. And there are usually two forms to the same gene. What do we call alternative forms to the same gene, AJ? Starts with an A. Allele. So alleles are alternative forms to the same gene. Ethan, how many alleles do you get from your dad? How many sets of alleles do you get from your dad?
It says on this thing, it says like...
How many chromosomes do you have, Ethan?
46.
46. You have 46 chromosomes. Half are from your mom, half are from your dad. How many sets of alleles do you get from your dad?
23.
23 sets of alleles. And you get 23 from your mom.
But I thought, it says right here that alleles are like, it's like random. It could be like...
It can be random. That's what Punnett squares are all about. Which allele you get is a random event. How many sperm do men make? Billions and billions. And those alleles can go into any one of those sperm. Half go into one sperm, half go into the other. And those combinations change all of the time. It might get 5 of these, 10. It doesn't matter. They segregate randomly into gametes. That was one of Mendel's principles. Did you guys read it in that article? One of Mendel's principles was his principles of segregation. Alleles segregate into gametes randomly. They just go willy-nilly into one or the other. You either get one of the alleles from your dad or the other. Say your dad is this, big T, little t, which for human height, it's much more complicated in humans. But say there's 2 alleles for human height, tall and short. Which one you get is random, okay? Because the first thing these will do is replicate, and then they separate into 4 gametes. Which gamete you get is a 1 in 4 probability. Okay? So it is random on which alleles you get. Okay? So alleles, you get 1 set from your mom and 1 set from your dad. Those alleles that you get turn you into what you are. Okay? One of the ways that we can see without doing Punnett squares, just by asking your relatives, are these things called pedigrees. Okay? So pedigrees are really important to tell basically 2 or 3 things. If a trait is dominant or recessive, which one of your relatives have these, and how those get passed down from one generation to the next. Okay, so I'm going to give you a couple different symbols, and we're going to get into this process right down here at the bottom and all of the steps that it did to create a pedigree. Okay, so this is about attached and detached earlobes. So the first thing you want to do with these is designate letters that represent the trait. So we're talking about earlobes. So if you were not here, the first thing that you want to do is figure out whether you have detached or attached earlobes. Mine are detached. I actually have earlobes. If they're connected to the side of your head, those are called attached earlobes. Wake up. So, he has attached earlobes. Who has attached?
Me.
You can't be in between. It's one of the other two. Those are detached. Yeah. Let me see. Yours are detached. 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 What are yours? Detached. Attached. AJ has attached. Those are detached. Coda has attached.
You already said that.
I know. Yours are attached. Okay, so it's all about whether you or your partner had detached or attached earlobes. So the first thing you want to do is designate letters. The way this is done is you look at the dominant trait and you assign letters to those. But we don't know what the dominant trait is. So that's the first question I asked you. From what you read, what do you guys think was the dominant or the recessive trait? And then I asked you to back that up with information from the article. How many people came up with what was the dominant and the recessive trait? So Tori, what's the dominant trait here?
The dominant trait was, I think, attached. Or no, detached.
It's detached. How do you know that from what the article told you? There is a specific passage in the article that told you,
It's
Juliana,
under-
I'll take your cell phone.
It's under the step 1 creative pedigree on the first page.
Yeah, no, in the article. There, it told you in the thing, it asked you, how do you know whether this is, which one's dominant, which one's recessive, and there's a specific, it's question number 9. Everybody look at question number 9 in their pedigree chart. Question number 9. It says which one's dominant and which one's recessive, and then how many people actually looked at the article and gave evidence how they knew that?
Couldn't find anything about earlobes in there.
It does. It just says, it talks about dominant and recessive traits. Did you write something down? No, what's wrong? I mean, go ahead, say it. Anybody? You guys need to do that because I'm going to ask a specific question on how you know whether traits are dominant and recessive. Detached is dominant, and I'll show you why here in a minute. So the first thing you want to do is set up letters. So D is detached, and little d is attached. This will help us later. It's always the big letter that represents the dominant trait, and the small letter that represents the recessive trait. Does everybody understand that so far? Then we start with the first people in the cross. You need to look at yourself. So, this symbol there. Willow. Did you do this? You have an excuse? Let's go. No. Elise.
Yeah.
We have 2 symbols, circles and squares. Which one's a male, which one's a female?
The male is a square.
Good, so this is a male, this is a female. When they're married, you draw a line between them. Does everybody understand that? So this should be the first line so far in your pedigree. Does everybody have that as the top of their pedigree? Yes. If you don't, draw it with me. Then, it asks you to tell me whether you have detached or attached earlobes. So, if you're a male, and you have, so this is you if you're a male. Does everybody understand that? This is you. And you have detached earlobes, what should you do inside that square?
Detached or detached?
Say that, what you're doing,
Color it
Taya.
in.
You should color it in. So males with detached earlobes should have that colored in.
Wait, detached or detached?
Detached.
What?
It said that in the directions.
I read it like that and then I was like, oh wait, I got that backwards.
No, I wrote it this way so we could follow the trait. Most of the time in these, the recessive trait is colored in, but this one I wanted you to follow a trait by coloring it in. That's what the trait you are following is usually the one you color in. So we're following whatever your trait is. Okay. So then it tells you, you marry somebody that also has detached earlobes. So if you're a male, and you marry a female that has detached earlobes, what are you supposed to do in the circle? Color it in. So you color it in. The only way it is not colored in is if you're a female. So females with attached earlobes need to have blank ones. So these are 2 that are detached. So if you're a male with detached earlobes, your wife had detached earlobes as well, because that's what the directions told you. Does everybody understand that? If you're a male with attached earlobes, yours would look like this. It would not be colored in. So that would be like Coda's. Okay, should look like that. Okay, because he has attached earlobe. It's not a bad thing. It's not like a stigma. It's just a recessive trait. Okay? It's not like you have an arm growing out of your forehead.
I don't know how much crap I've got about it.
Okay, so then, what comes next? What do your children look like? So how many children do these individuals have?
3.
So you do this, bink, bink, and bink. You have 3 kids. And it goes from left to right. You read it like a book. So your first child goes on the far left. Was it a boy or a girl?
Boy.
So you draw a square. Middle one, boy or girl? Draw a circle. Next one.
Boy.
Okay. Then you write in what it tells you. Did this one have detached or attached earlobes? So you color that one in. Girl. Last boy. Should look something like that, right? And so on and so on. Do we get this?
Yeah.
So is this very hard?
No.
The questions that are hard. How do you know their genotypes? How do you know if they're hybrids? How do you know if they're purebred? That's where this stuff becomes important. Okay, I'm going to write down all of the possible genotypes. All of the possible genotypes. This individual, detached or attached earlobes?
Detached.
This is going to be detached. This person, detached or attached?
Detached.
Okay.
And last person, attached. Okay, so now look up here. It asks you, if this is Coda, this is Coda. Who else is like this? AJ, this is you? Are you a purebred, AJ? Or are you a hybrid? You have attached earlobes. Read. So are you a purebred or are you a hybrid?
Purebred.
Why are you purebred?
It's too small.
Yeah, purebreds. These two here are called purebreds, meaning they have the same alleles. So AJ would write, I'm purebred.
Yeah.
How do you know if you're this or this if you're attached? You don't know yet. So the only thing that we know so far is that this individual and this individual have that genotype. Do we understand that so far? That's all we know. So how do we determine what this individual is? Does anybody have an idea?
Does that have to do with the
Look at
box?
the kids. on-
Yeah, you'd look at the kids. So let's look at this individual here. This boy, third boy. Pay attention. This is big. Where did the boy get this little D?
From Dad.
That
What?
sounds sick.
Had to get it from Dad. Where did they get the other one?
Mother.
From Mom. So doesn't Mom have to have a little D too?
Yeah.
So what's Mom's genotype?
Hybrid.
Has to be a hybrid. In this case. Does everybody understand how I figured that out? Because this kid had to get two little D's. Has to have them. Or it cannot have attached earlobes. So AJ, if you marry a lady that has detached earlobes, and you have a child with attached earlobes, you know for sure that your wife's genotype is heterozygous. Know it for a fact. It can't be anything else because your wife would have had to give the small d to the child. So this one comes from there, and that one could be either one of those. Go down to give that first d. Okay, do you understand that? So what are the genotypes of these kids? What's that? Yes, Elise, you have a question.
Yeah. So, can you tell if one of the, like, either the man or the woman were cheating if your kid would have detached or attached?
Yes. Not for sure 100%. The way that it's a good question. What if we get this? What if we had this individual? So the question was, can you tell from attached and detached earlobes if your spouse was cheating on you or not? If you're first of all, it would have had to have been the girl. Okay, the guy couldn't get caught because it would be another girl somewhere else, and it wouldn't be you. Okay, do you understand that? So it would have to be the wife cheating here. So, never mind. No, you don't want to hear this. So say you're the wife, and you guys both have attached earlobes, and you end up with two kids with detached earlobes. They cheated twice. At least twice. Okay.
So,
Okay. So back to this. Okay.
Oh,
But
God.
in this case, there is no way using this trait that you could tell if your spouse cheated on you. No way.
something else that you can tell about your kid?
There's a lot of stuff we'll get into it with human genetics. Okay. Yes.
What about if, like, okay, so both of them are, like,
You guys quiet.
like,